Good morning, pre-service teachers. This semester we've been working on creating a series of sequenced lessons. Last week you created an assessment to see if your students have independently mastered the objectives from those lessons. This week we're going to work on modifying that assessment for the English language learners in your classroom. In this video, I'll teach you several techniques for doing those modifications, and I'm also going to show you how to make those modifications in a Word document. Let's go ahead and get started with one of the easiest additions you can make to your test. In your lesson plan, you've learned that it's helpful for your English language learners as well as your other students to include a word bank on the assignments that they're doing on your wall, in your classroom, etc. So one of the things that you can do when you're asking students about vocabulary or giving them a set of definitions is to include that word bank on the exam as well. So for today's video, I'm working out of office.com. So this is a live document that you can use when you are working with team members. I'm going to scroll to the location that I want to put my word bank in. I will click there, maybe enter a couple of spaces to give me some workspace. I'm going to go to Insert, and then I will create a table. Let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 6 different words that I need, so I'll create a 3x2 table in there. And then I'm going to type in my words that my students need. So I have like pa, to do. I'm going to go ahead and type directions that my students can use the word bank to fill in the sentences below. So I just say choose one of the words from the word bank to fill in the sentences below. And my word bank is finished. A second way to modify the test for your ESL learner is to underline or highlight the vocabulary that serves as a clue to the correct answer. This way they focus on those important words that they should have learned with their content vocabulary rather than all of the words they may not have had exposure to yet. You can also eliminate one of the confusing answer choices by highlighting the options you want the student to choose from. So there's 2 easy ways to do that in Word. You highlight the vocabulary or the phrase that's going to help your ESL student out. In my case, it's the reader is aware that Cinderella is penniless. I'm going to put that in bold, or I also have the option of highlighting that. If they're beginner or intermediate, I may want to help my student out more, so I'm going to highlight the correct answer choices and eliminate one of the answer choices that way. A third way to help your ESL student is simply by eliminating some of the more difficult answer choices. To do that in Word, I'm simply going to highlight the answer choices I want to eliminate, and then I'm going to locate the strike through button, and that will draw a line through those answer choices that I want to eliminate. You can also decrease the length, especially when you have long questions like your matching questions, and focus on maybe just the main topics that you want the students to know rather than all of the subtopics as well. To do that in Word, I'm also going to use my strike through button. So again, I'm just going to highlight the ones that my students do not absolutely need to know. If they're a beginner or intermediate student, I'm going to locate the strike through, cross that off, and then I'm going to make sure that I also cross that off over in my answer choices. If you have open-ended response questions on your exam, you can add sentence stems to help out your intermediate, beginner, and even your advanced ESL students. And for those, you're just going to type them in the location where they would write their response to that open-ended question. When you have lengthier questions or questions with difficult vocabulary, maybe you have a reading passage on your exam, you're going to want to change out that vocabulary your student has not had exposure to something a little more simplistic. If you were doing all of your modifications by hand, you could simply cross out the difficult words and write the easier words above them. But since we're doing this digitally, how I would like you to do it is to select the word. I want you to use the strike through button again, and then next to it in a different color font, I would like for you to type the word that you're replacing it with. So boulders may be something that my beginner speaker doesn't know. I'm going to change that to large rocks instead. I would need to continue to do this with the rest of the passage, making sure that I changed out all of the difficult words. Another option that you have to help out your ESL students is to create an audio file of the longer text. There actually is a way to record an audio file in Word document on the desktop, but you cannot do it in Office 365. So you would have the option of recording something like a voice memo on your phone. You could upload it to your YouTube channel and play it for the student and have them listen to it on headphones that way. When grading your exam, you want to focus on the content, especially in the essays, rather than standard English conventions like spelling, punctuation, and grammar. You're looking to see if they somehow showed you that they understood the content that you taught them. Remember, it's not a crime to give your ESL student clues, to recast the question, to allow for multiple choice or yes/no answers. You can divide the word bank portions into smaller sections, and you can tailor the test to your student's acquisition level. All of these modifications will also work for your 504 or IEP students.